Hey everyone, Clarky here, welcome back to another video. Today I'm back, and today I'm ranking every single Call of Duty Zombies game ranked worst to best. Now, as of right now, I did want to do this before Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies released, as people would say, oh, you never included Vanguard Zombies in the list. I'm going to include Vanguard Zombies in this list, but at the same time, I'm really not. I don't really want to include Vanguard Zombies as a whole in this, because right now, we've not got every single bit of content related to Vanguard Zombies. This game for Call of Duty Vanguard will have 6 seasons, and within those 6 seasons, we'll get Call of Duty Zombies content for Vanguard. We're still waiting on possible round-based maps, survival maps, new objectives coming to Durham Fong, new game modes and stuff. We're still waiting for those stuff to happen. So as of right now, for people wondering if I am going to place Vanguard Zombies in this, in a way I am. I'm just going to place it as to where it is now, like how Vanguard Zombies is as of now, you know, because I think it is kind of unfair to really put it in the list on how every single game has got its full content released. Well, they're not updating BO3 anymore, they're done with that, they're focusing on the future games, say with Black Ops Cold War, so yeah. So Vanguard Zombies, I'm not really placing on the list. I'm just going to be saying 1 to 9 here, because technically, if I'm counting the Call of Duty Zombies games as a whole, there's only 9 Call of Duty Zombies games. As of right now, there's 10, but for this list, I'm only counting 9. But I will show where I would place Vanguard Zombies as it is right now. So yeah, let's get right into the list. And just to let you know, another thing, this is my personal opinion as well, and another thing as well, that I do love all these games. The Call of Duty Zombies as a whole has changed my life forever. I love Infinite Warfare Zombies, I love all the non-Treyarch games, I love all the Treyarch games. Do I hate any of them? No, I actually don't. I actually love all of them for what they are. There's just some ones I do like more than others, so no matter what is at the bottom of the list, don't think I hate it, alright? I genuinely do love it, there's just games I play more than that personally. But yeah, let's get right into the list. Coming in at the number 9 spot, as you see on the screen, it may be the BO3 version, but this came from an original version of a map, which was Nat Down Tone, and Nat Down Tone started in the game, which was Call of Duty World at War. Now, Call of Duty World at War Zombies, I know people are going to be like, oh, but come on, it was the first ever Call of Duty Zombies game, started off with the first Call of Duty Zombies map, Nat Down Tone, it got some challenge in there with Rut, got some cool shit with Shiro Numa, brought in the perks, Pack Punch for the first time, and if it wasn't for World at War Zombies doing popular, we wouldn't have any of the future games as a whole. Yes, I know, World at War Zombies does have a hold a special place in everyone's heart. Started you off with Nat Down Tone. Once you completed the campaign, you were instantly sent here, and there was no perks, there was no like Pack-a-Punch, there was nothing, like it was bare bones, and it was a 2-hit system. The best guns that you could have ever used was probably the PPSH, MG42, Flamethrower, or Ray Gun. And yes, you did have power-ups, you had the double points, you had insta-kill, pretty sure you had max ammo, and I think you did have a nuke in there as well. And then of course there is some cool stuff in here, like the closet wall buy with the sniper. It's not the best, but just the fact that it's a unique wall buy is very, very cool. And of course you got stuff like the radio, the help door. There's a lot of stuff too in that Down Tone that is quite cool. So World at War Zombies as a whole was very interesting, to say the least. It started everything, but I'm really counting as to how people see World at War Zombies nowadays. Now, I really don't see much people going to World at War Zombies now unless they're going back to do a challenge or just go back for nostalgia or something. I'd go back to World at War Zombies if I was doing a stream, something related to that, or I wanted to do a big marathon like I did for Easter Eggs for Days episode 100 part 1. Now, as a whole, World at War Zombies is definitely a really cool zombies experience. You've got Nat Down Tone, which sets you in a challenge where you have no perks at all, no traps, and just in general, like, your Nat Down Tone is a fucking hard map in World at War. There's sticky zombies, there's 2 hits, and all in all, the really good thing you could use was really the ray gun and the flamethrower. And people have it's around 300 on this shit in World at War. Like, that is nuts. And then, of course, like, they've brought Nat into many other iterations of games like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 in Transit, Black Ops Rainbow Fresh Revelations, and Zombie Chronicles, and they did bring it back in Black Ops Cold War. So they've basically brought back Nat, I say at least 5 or 6 times, at least, pretty sure it's 5 times. But aside from that though, Nat Down Tone was definitely a very good starting map, seeing as Zombies was something that they never intended to plan. They just wanted to make it a cool little Easter egg type of thing. And of course you did get Verrucht, which was personally my favourite World at War Zombies map, where it had a bunch of challenge, it had no Pack Punch granted, but the map itself was kind of creepy. I liked the aesthetic of it, loved the traps, first map to ever bring in perks to the game as well, which was very cool and interesting. So all in all, I really love Rut. Shiro Numa as well is definitely very interesting, because it brought in the Ultimus crew, which was the first ever crew that people started to get invested in, you know, the Richtofen, Takio, Dempsey and Nikolai. And as a whole, Shinonuma brought in many cool things, brought in a new unique trap, brought in random how the perks spawn in, you know, and oh no, it was just very, very cool to see a new unique map set in a swamp, Shrek's fucking swamp, for crying out loud. And then apart from that, then you have Derice, which is probably the most favorited World at War Zombies map ever. The reason why I say Verrot is my favorite World at War Zombies map, particularly because it's now in Black Ops 3, the Giant, and of course it is in BO1 as well, but as a whole, it's definitely really interesting, both those maps, and I really love World at War as a whole. Just as it is right now, it's a game that I love, and it's a game that I go back to if I was ever to do a challenge, or maybe a video like Zombies Replay, or my big marathon streams. But aside from that though, World at War, cool game, love it to bits. There is some problems here and then until this day when I play it, like the sticky zombies, and just, of course, it's not something I'd always go back to because there's really no Easter eggs, especially when I am an Easter egg person. It can be very something that it's not really something for me, you know. So yeah, World of War Zombies, love it to bits, but it's not something I go back to compared to the other games, and that is why it's coming at the number 9 spot. Now this is where I would place Vanguard Zombies as it is now. Now I'm not saying this is the number 8 spot, I'm not saying it's in any spot, just because I do think it's unfair to include it on the list, just due to the fact that, well, you know, it's only at launch. There's still much more stuff to come, especially when Season 1's around the corner. Possible round-based maps, Easter eggs as well, you know. But as a whole, I'm really not going to include it in the list. But if anyone was wondering where I would place Vanguard Zombies if I was to place it on this list, this is where I place it. I just place it right over World at War Zombies. But Vanguard Zombies is definitely really interesting. I do love the gameplay as it is in Modern Warfare, and I wasn't the biggest fan of how the gameplay felt in Modern Warfare. I definitely didn't mind it, but it wasn't like the top tier thing for me, you know. Whereas in Vanguard, it feels right. And I was worried how it would feel in Zombies, but as a whole, in Zombies, it actually feels really good. But I think that's because of how Vanguard did it. In Vanguard, it just feels right. I don't know why. They definitely just done the same thing as they did in Modern Warfare. But in Vanguard, the gameplay system just feels right. Vanguard Zombies as a whole definitely has a lot of problems right now. You can't even pause in a game of co-op, which is definitely fine, but with server pause being the biggest thing ever, it's definitely not the hardest thing to do, I personally foresee, unless I'm completely wrong. And one of the other things as well is that you can't even pause in solo. Granted, the reason why I'm giving Treyarch the benefit of the doubt in this is that they only had 4 months to work on Vanguard Zombies, and that's actually very upsetting, because with the shit that Activision has done as of recently, which I'm not going to say, I'm not even going to make a video on that, but as a whole, with how Activision treat the Treyarch like shit, rushing them to do Zombies and stuff on different games, because Zombies actually done really good on Cold War, it's just very upsetting to see how they did with this, especially how they degraded the field upgrades, which the field upgrades were definitely a cool idea, and how they basically just degraded their uses, where Ether Shroud's not even that powerful anymore. Ring of Fire is a bit glitchy, where when you spawn in the ring, it doesn't even spawn at your feet, it spawns like 10 feet away from you sometimes. And then as a whole, the other two I haven't even tried it, because Frost Blast and Energy Mine just aren't for me. Granted, they look cool as there is, but the way they play is not very, like, it's not very fair and nice. As a whole, they've basically put in round-based, Onslaught, and Outbreak combined. And as a person who was a fan of Onslaught and Outbreak, and both round-based, I definitely do think this is a cool idea. The only problem is that there isn't enough in it. I wish there was more objective. I wish there was a fucking Easter egg, because it's definitely not impossible that they can't do an Easter egg in a mode that's not round-based. They done it with definitely Outbreak, and Outbreak they done it where there was 2 Easter eggs. One where we're just basically sending the nuclear missiles into the Pacific Ocean, and the other where we're basically taking, where we're basically trying to find other people from Omega to help us, but instead they betray us. So yeah, it's really shit. It's really shit. But whereas in Duran Fog, it has a lot of potential to have a really good Easter egg, because the first Outbreak Easter egg was my personal, is one of my favourite Easter eggs of all time, and the fact that this doesn't have an Easter egg, which it definitely has a lot of potential to have a really good Easter egg, it's really disappointing. So yeah, Vanguard Zombies, as it is, I do have my fun on it, and I definitely want to grind a lot on it, especially how it is double XP right now. I am very upset as to where it is now. And I'm giving the chart the benefit of the doubt, and I don't want to completely blame them due to the fact that Activision only really gave them 4 months to work on this, seeing as they were still working on Cold War Zombies at the time. So yeah, Vanguard Zombies, I'm not calling it the number 8 spot, but if anyone was curious as to where Vanguard Zombies is as of right now and where I'd place it, this is where I'd place it. Now coming in at the number 8 spot, it is Exo Zombies. Now Exo Zombies is definitely, I'd say, is very unique and interesting. It does feel like the BO3 system, is that the only difference is that it doesn't have wall running in it, and of course it does have exosuits. BO3 in a way tried to implement exosuits in some maps. Well, maybe not some, maybe just like a tiny bit. Well, of course, in Black Ops 3 you had the wall running in Shadows of Evil, and of course you could do that in Revelations. The gravity step and the gravity in The Rise of Drac as well, you can definitely float where it feels like you're in an exosuit, so it definitely does feel a bit cool. But whereas in Exos, it gives you that boost where you can jump up and then just push yourself forward, you know? It's definitely very interesting to see what they do with Exo Zombies. And of course I did really love their first map, which was Outbreak, and it definitely suited Exo Zombies well. It definitely set up the characters well, even though we never knew much about them. I just felt like Exo Zombies really didn't have a good start. The only problem I really had with the start is that the fact that Exo Zombies didn't start on launch. It started as a DLC. So when you wanted to play Exo Zombies, you actually had to pay to actually play Exo Zombies. It didn't come on disc like a fresh new map, you know. So it kind of sucked. But apart from that, if you were willing to play the DLC just to play the Zombies mode, then go ahead. You may actually enjoy it. The next map, of course, was Burger Town, which is obviously not a very much fan favourite. It definitely has a lot of problems, and it definitely is very unique. As of recently, when I've played Burger Town quite a bit, I've quite enjoyed myself over just the fact that it can be a bit of a joke. Not saying the map is a joke as a whole for people who generally like Burger Town, not saying that. Just as a whole, when I'm goofing off in Burger Town and actually doing the Easter egg, which I do from time to time, I actually generally have a bit of fun, and it's definitely very cool sometimes. And I definitely do love how you can activate Bubby inside the map. So good shit on that Sledgehammer. And then, of course, when it came to Carrier, which is definitely one of my favourite maps in Exos, it was definitely very interesting as well. It was set on a boat, and of course it started you off like the ruts where you could spawn into different sites. And then, of course, Descent, which was definitely a very good send-off, where it basically sent you into a high-tech underwater Atlantis. You had a fun window weapon, the Trident, and then, of course, it brought in the Blunderbuss, which is one of my favourite weapons to use in Exo Zombies. So, yeah, I'm really glad how they ended it off. I only wish there was a continuation, because Oz was definitely a really interesting character, especially when we figured out he was a zombie in the game. But, of course, we never got it because a lot of people didn't like it. But aside from that, though, I thought Exo Zombies did do quite well. Just compared to the other games, I definitely do like more. But aside from that, though, Exo Zombies, I definitely do like it. I've had my fun on it. I have a lot of fun on Outbreak. I actually have quite some fun on Burger Town. Carrier, I definitely have a lot of fun on as well. Granted, there's sides of rage, but I still quite enjoy it. And as for Descent, it's definitely a fun map to play, especially with all the stuff it has. So yeah, that is why Exo Zombies is coming at the number 8 spot. Now, I know a lot of people are really going to hate me for this, alright? But I have my reasons. Coming in at the number 7 spot, it's Black Ops 2. My god, please don't fucking hate me, alright? I really do enjoy Black Ops 2. Now, to go on, Black Ops 2 was definitely very fun. I've definitely had a lot of fun as of recently when I did play WW2 Zombies doing the Transit Diarise Easter egg. And granted, even though we failed the bar Easter egg, I definitely had quite some fun on it. And of course, when we done Mob of the Dead, and of course when I did play about Nuketown, I definitely had a lot of fun. And then, of course, we have the other two maps, which is Mob of the Dead and Origins. Now, Black Ops 2 as a whole, it's definitely had its rough areas. It brought in new game modes for zombies, which is Grief in Turn, which is one of the best innovations for zombies ever, I'd say. Where we're not just getting simple round-based maps, we're getting new game modes as well that's just not dedicated to round-based. We're getting Grief in Turn, which was very fun-ass game modes. And then, of course, when it came to the start of Black Ops 2, everyone was hyped, but then, of course, it went downhill because Transit wasn't everyone's favourite map of all time. Granted, it got some cool innovations with the bus and stuff, but it still didn't live up to people's expectations. Transit's playing co-op is definitely a lot of fun, but playing solo, it's not really that fun. Granted, someone did figure out that you could do the Transit Easter egg solo, which is actually good for me because I definitely do like to do some Easter egg solo, as a lot of people haven't got free time. But hey ho. And then of course Die Rise, that didn't solve anything as well, as a lot of people weren't a big fan of Die Rise as well. And then moving on with that, we then got Mob of the Dead, which brought a lot of people back. Alcatraz, a lot of people loved the characters because they were celebrities. A lot of people loved the story, the Wonder Weapon, the Hell's Retriever, the Easter egg, the fact that you fly on a fucking plane and build one to escape a prison is amazing. And go to the Golden Gate Bridge, that shit's amazing. And the Pack-a-Punch camo as well is definitely very nice. Within Mob of the Dead, you feel like you're in a movie or some sorts where you're doing the Great Escape or something within Alcatraz. Like, that shit is amazing, and I'm really glad that they did make a Zombies map dedicated to Alcatraz, because I thought that was one of the coolest settings ever in Zombies. So, Treyarch, good stuff. Good stuff. And then of course you got Buried, which was definitely, I'd say it done really well. It brought in a new variation of the ray gun, which was the ray gun Mark II, and then of course it brought back the Transit Crew, which it wasn't people's favourites, but it definitely was a fun map where you did have the Paralyzer and more other fun stuff to do. You could get free perks if you weren't hit by the witches. At least I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And then of course you could get a lot of points. It was like a chill, fun time in Buried, you know, not something too hard, not something like too difficult. It was just really chill and peaceful. So if you ever wanted to hop in a chill game, peaceful time with zombies, especially when Black Ops 2 had the 2-hit system, go ahead and play Buried. It's definitely a lot of fun. And then of course we got one people's most favourite map ever, and I just died on round fucking 3. It is Origins, and Origins was definitely something huge, something no one has ever seen in the zombies community ever. People got stats, people got robots, people got the younger versions of the Ultimate Crew, the Premise Crew, you got tanks, so much shit going on in Origins, and holy shit, it definitely was a treat. But the fact that there was hardly, like, there was just 2 really, really great maps, 1 okay map, and 2 maps that a lot of people hated, and I'm not saying it because of me, I'm saying this because that's what the community's reaction was. A lot of people mainly played WW2 Zombies specifically because of Origins, Mob of the Dead, and sometimes Buried, but they really never came back because Transit and Die Rise, and of course WW2 Zombies just definitely wasn't their favourite. But for me, as a whole, I definitely love all the maps for what they are. I have fun on Transit, I have fun on Die Rise, and I definitely have fun on Nuketown. But for the majority of the community, people just really didn't enjoy Transit, Die Rise, and Nuketown Zombies. And of course, people did enjoy Buried, but not as much as stuff like Mob of the Dead and Origins. But aside from that though, I definitely had my fun on Black Ops 2, but again, with the other games I'm about to mention on this list, I've just had more fun on, and of course, Transit and Die Rise, I definitely do like, and I definitely do have my fun on them, but not as much as the other games I'm about to mention, and those maps are within those games. But yeah, that is why WW2 Zombies is coming at the number 7 spot. Coming in at the number 6 spot, we have Black Ops 1 Zombies. Now, Black Ops 1 Zombies is definitely a fan favourite too. I'd say most people. It started you off with an amazing map with Kino de Torn, bringing in a new Wonder Weapon, which was the Thunder Gun. You had the stage, you had the perks, and you had a lot of fun with friends. And then of course you got the bonus map 5, which wasn't a fan favourite to people, but it's gotten a lot of interest as of right now, with the Pentagon Thief being a very cool and interesting boss. Granted, the Winter Cell wasn't definitely interesting and all, and it wasn't the best Wonder Weapon, but it was definitely a cool concept. Along with that, you definitely do have the characters, which is personally my favourite thing about Black Ops 1 Zombies is 5, so honestly, the characters were spot on 5. And of course, with DLC 1, they released Ascension, which is definitely a heavily opinioned map where a lot of people like it and a lot of people dislike it, whether that be Caleb Ross's favourite map and the Legend HD's least favourite map. And then along with that, you do have, of course, which is my personal favourite Black Ops 1 Zombies map, Call of the Dead. Now, Call of the Dead is definitely a boss of a map. It brought in George Romero, a celebrity cast, the Sickle, the VR11, which granted isn't the best, but the unique in design of it is very interesting, and the Scavenger. Holy shit, that's amazing. And then of course you do have PhD as well, which is definitely very cool with it. And just all in all, Call of the Dead was definitely very interesting and cool. I know what people think about the fog on that map and stuff, and I definitely can't agree. But unlike Transit, the fog went on and off. Transit's fog was basically like on 24/7 depending on what area you're at, whereas in Call of the Dead it's on everywhere, but it's not on constantly, it's on and off, you know, kind of like how the real world is, where fog can be on, fog can be off sometimes, you know, it's just how it is. But along with that, you definitely did have its other map, Shangri-La, which, granted, a lot of people were heavily debated on this map as well. They didn't really like the baby gun, the Easter egg, but one thing that a lot of people give Shangri-La, it's its beauty. The way it looks in Black Ops 1 Zombies is very nice. Of course, I definitely do think it looks nicer in Black Ops 3, but the way it looked in Black Ops 1 as well was very nice. And of course, in Eclipse mode as well, that was definitely a very, very good touch. My only problem was that you could only do it in 4-player, but aside from that though, it was very nice. And then along with that, as for Moon in Black Ops 1 was definitely very interesting. It was definitely a fucking amazing map as well, and a good way to end off the DLC season. But my only problem was that you could only do 2-player, you could only do the Easter egg 2-player, and you could only do the Easter egg with another player if they had Ascension and Shangri-La done, along with you getting Ascension and Shangri-La done as well. I think you had to get Call of the Dead done as well, but all I know is that you really just had to get Ascension and Shangri-La done. And then along with that, you definitely did have Moon. My really only problem with Moon on Black Ops 1 Zombies was the way it looked. Area 51 I thought was totally fine. Could have done a bit of better with the way it looked, but apart from that I thought it was okay. But the moon itself, when you go on there, just kind of looked like a big old booger. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I really did like Black Ops 1 Zombies Moon. The way it looked was okay, but it definitely wasn't the nicest the way it looks in Black Ops 3. But the way it looked back then I thought it was okay, and I still do think it's okay till this day. But definitely not the top tier is best, and it definitely was a good way to end off the zombie season with you exploring the earth, and along with learning more storyline about Maxis and Samantha and what Rick Toffin was doing behind the scenes. And then of course Black Ops 1 Zombies as a whole was very good, ending off with 6 maps, and you did have Dead Ops Arcade as a bonus as well. So honestly, Call of Duty Zombies in Black Ops 1 was definitely a lot of fun. Kino de Tone being a cool map, just go for high runs on. 5, which was something if you were wanted to do, just in case you're bored, go ahead and do it. Essentially was fun, monkeys can be annoying, but aside from that though, it was very, very cool and interesting with Ghost devices and Matryoshka dolls. Call of the Dead as well, the fog can be annoying, and so can George, and the VR11 is not the best wonder weapon, but you could definitely have a lot of fun on it. Whereas Shangri-La, it's a bit of both, where you really can't do anything solo, all you can really do is go for high runs and look at the beauty that Shangri-La has, along with the baby gun. And then of course with Moon, definitely very nice. It's definitely a cool way to play solo, co-op, and just in general the way it looks was definitely not the nicest, but the way it ended off the Black Ops 1 Zombie season was definitely very nice. But of course, I do like the other games more, and the other games are going to fucking trigger people because I know how much people hate these games, but again, this is my opinion at the end of the day. And again, I don't hate the other games I've put at the bottom of the list. I don't hate Black Ops 1 Zombies 2, Exo, Vanguard, and World at War. I like these games for what they are, but the other games I'm placing higher above the list is just ones that I do like to play, and I just play more than others. So yeah. So do not think I hate Black Ops 1, 2, Exos, Vanguard, or World at War at all. I don't. It's just these games I do play more, and I do like a tiny bit more. But aside from that, that's why Black Ops 1 Zombies is coming at the number 6 spot. Coming in at the number 5 spot, and my god, if I'm somehow not hated for this, I don't know where I am. But it is World War 2 Zombies. Now, World War 2 Zombies definitely had a really good start, launching with the Final Reich being one of the nicest looking maps and a good setting for World War 2 as a whole. You had good characters, you had a good Easter egg, good 2 Easter eggs, both casual and hardcore, amazing wonder weapon, and along with the wonder weapon variants, along with that you definitely had the bonus where you unlocked Groston House. And then along with that, you'd have the Darkest Shore, which isn't the best map. A lot of people definitely didn't like the Darkest Shore at all. It's definitely very fun co-op, I'd say. I definitely have had my fun on the Darkest Shore. And I mean it when I say that. And then, of course, along with that, you definitely have, which is my personal favourite map of all time, the Shadow Throne. Brought in a lot of good elements to World War 2 Zombies. Had a good Easter egg, pretty difficult for Morse code, and definitely had a good Easter egg, the Shadow Throne. It brought in, not so difficult in my opinion, but kind of difficult. Had a really amazing boss fight arena and a boss fight itself. The wonder weapon could have done better, but it definitely was very cool and unique. And then, of course, the storyline within the map was definitely very cool as well. And then, along with that, the torture path being probably one of the worst Call of Duty Zombies DLCs ever, which I didn't personally mind it, but for people in the community, a lot of people didn't like it. Just scrapping the quote-unquote apparent Egyptian map that was apparently going to happen, because that was related to the next map that was going to be made in Black Ops 4 Zombies, which was 9. So they decided to scrap an Egyptian map and made the torture path, make them into 3 little survival maps and put them into one, to the point where it would feel like just a new game mode instead of a new map. And then, of course, it did have its Easter egg, which a lot of people didn't like. Personally, I do like it. The more I've done it, The only pain in the ass is if you fail one Easter egg on a survival map, and so if you do the first Easter egg on the next survival map, and then you do the next Easter egg on the survival map, and then you do the next Easter egg on the final survival map, that's it, you've got the Easter egg done. But say you do the Easter egg on the first survival map, and then you fail on the second, you've not got the Easter egg completion. And it really, really fucking sucks that you need to start back from the first survival map. So, as a whole though, WW2 Zombies was definitely right, along with ended off in a good note, which was the Frozen Dawn. The Frozen Dawn gameplay was amazing. The wonder weapons aren't really too hard to get. The upgrades themselves, they can be a bit difficult if you're doing it for the first time, but when you get to know them more, it's not actually that difficult. And then, of course, you do have the way the map looks and the way it plays. It's definitely very fun and interesting as a whole, definitely to the point where it's actually one of the nicest looking maps and one of the nicest gameplay-wise maps in Call of Duty WW2 Zombies. And maybe even Zombies as a whole, for all we know. And then the storyline on the map wasn't the brightest as a whole, I'd say. Again, I want to say they definitely would have a time crushiness. They definitely had to scrap the Egyptian map they were going to make. But as a whole, with WW2 Zombies, it ended off with showing us Klaus is alive and well, but it really didn't show us what it meant to be Raven Lords and stuff, you know. It was, the ending was very confusing, and I don't know if people figured out what the ending meant, but for me personally, I don't really know. So the gameplay on the map was definitely very good for the Frozen Dawn, but the storyline, I just want to say, it wasn't there per se. But aside from that though, Frozen Dawn was definitely very good. WW2 Zombies as a whole has had its ups and downs. Mainly downs because a lot of people really didn't like it because, for one, the biggest and main obvious reason is that the fact that it wasn't Treyarch. Two, a lot of people hated the Darkest Shore to fucking bits. And three, the Torture Path literally plummeted everything to the point where no one really gave the Frozen Dawn a chance because the Torture Path was that bad. One thing I will say about the Torture Path though, when that trailer dropped, holy shit, that trailer was one of the best Call of Duty Zombies trailers ever. And I'm just going to stay with that for the rest of my life. But aside from that though, WW2 Zombies has definitely had its ups and downs, and I will definitely stand by that for the rest of my life. But as a whole, I've definitely had fun on it when I went for the Easter eggs. I stayed up all night trying to do the hardcore Easter egg because no one wanted to do it with me co-op. I had to do that shit so many times. It took me good 19 attempts to do that shit solo because of one of the upgrades in the Final Reich, and it was just so difficult. But aside from that though, Final Reich, I love it. Darkest Shore, it's alright, not the best solo, but definitely a fun co-op. Shattered Throne, my personal favourite map in WW2 Zombies, and of course the Torture Path, not the best, but the more you play it, the more you kind of start to like it, which happened for me in my opinion. If it doesn't for you, that's completely okay. And then as for the Frozen Dawn, storyline wasn't there, but the wonder weapons and the gameplay on that map as a whole is amazing. So yeah, WW2 Zombies has had its ups and downs, but that's why it's coming at the number 5 spot for me. Coming in at the number 4 spot, which I still definitely do think is underrated till this day, it is Infinite Warfare Zombies. Infinite Warfare was hated from the moment it showed its first campaign trailer, but Zombies in itself was a different story. A lot of people quite liked Infinite Warfare Zombies. Zombies the Spaceland was super unique and people thought it was super goofy, but a lot of people quite enjoyed it for what it was. It was something new, unique, something new, and something to give a try on. You could ride roller coasters, unique wonder weapons, like 4 different variations of fucking ray guns. You got David Hasselhoff in there. You basically had a celebrity every map. What else could you want? A super Easter egg, which I'll get to in a bit, but a super Easter egg, just keep that in mind. And then after Zombie Spaceland, you had a good Raven Redwoods, which was DLC 1. Granted, the Easter egg only took 6 hours to solve, and it is personally to me quite easy, but as a whole, I thought it was definitely a good DLC 1 to start off. DLC 2 Challenge Shuffle, it started to go downhill for the community, but the more you play it, the more you do take in the aesthetic, and it's definitely fun. I love the Kung Fu being really, really cool as well. The nunchucks, the katana, the boss fight's actually quite cool as well. It's actually alright. And then, of course, with that, you have Attack and Reactive Thing, which I definitely think, till this day, is actually still an underrated map. I definitely get the whole colour scheme at the start of the map, but unlike Ascension, I think this map done it better, to the point where as soon as you open up a couple of doors, I say 2 at most, and just stay in there for a while, that's it, the colours will turn on, and I definitely do think that is a good way to start off Infinite War. Well, I definitely do think Attack and Reactive Thing was definitely very, very fun. And keep in mind, DLC 3 and 4 could have been cancelled for Infinite Warfare, but they decided to continue on. And of course with DLC 4, it was kind of a hype moment, seeing as the last time Infinity Ward tried to make a bonus mode for their previous game, which was Call of Duty Ghosts, it was Extinction, where it wasn't zombies but it was aliens. So they decided to bring back the cryptids from Extinction into the last map, which is Beast from Beyond. Definitely not a fan favourite map. I've had a lot of fun on Beast from Beyond with co-op. Solo, it's really not that fun, but if you have Director's Cut, it makes it a tiny bit better. And then of course you have the super Easter egg boss fight, which is the hardest, yet personally to me, the best boss fight in Infinite Warfare Zombies. And that, no, not just Infinite Warfare Zombies, zombies as a whole, and that is Mephistopheles. When you do all the Easter eggs in Infinite Warfare Zombies, you unlock Director's Cut. Director's Cut makes you so you can turn it on or off. Whether if you turn it on, you'll start off with all the perks, 25,000 points at the start of your game. Every gun you get from the mystery wheel, you will get a pack punch weapon, and along with that, you can basically just get set up, and it makes you have more fun on the maps that you really didn't like. For instance, say Challenge Shuffle. I definitely had fun on it when Director's Cut wasn't a thing, but when Director's Cut did become a thing and I played on Challenge Shuffle, it became more fun for me. They literally fixed the problems in those maps with just a simple big super Easter egg. And then along with that, you definitely have the choice whether you just want to play without not being OP or with being OP. So I'm really glad they made that decision. And then of course you have another, you have a secret cutscene in Zombies Spaceland where you can play as Willard Wyler, the main villain in Infinite Warfare Zombies. Well, maybe not the main villain if you count Mephistopheles. But aside from that though, Infinite Warfare Zombies is very fun, and I'd say it's very, very, as Joe Met would say, or other people would say, it's good. It's definitely a lot of fun, and I definitely do think it deserves more love. A lot of people over the course of time have given Infinite Warfare Zombies more love. Definitely, I do agree. But of course, the hate is still there, seeing as people definitely do think it's still a bit more goofy. Even though it is goofy, it does have its serious parts here and then, like dropping a nuke inside the attack of the radar thing, and just in general, like, holy shit, it's definitely done a lot of better things in this game than in other COD games. So yeah, honestly, Infinite Warfare Zombies is coming in at the number 4 spot for me. I love it to bits. I have a lot of fun on it when I play co-op and solo. So yeah, Infinity Ward. People may have not liked this game, but the zombies, I think you've done amazing. Lee Ross, we love you, we love you. And that is why Infinite Warfare Zombies is coming at the number 4 spot. Now, a lot of people are probably going to hate me for this, but coming in at the number 3 spot, it is Black Ops 4 Zombies. Now, Black Ops 4 Zombies, I have had a lot of fun on. Black Ops 4 Zombies, quite frankly, changed my life forever, and that's really why it's coming in at the spot. I met a lot of people online through Black Ops 4 Zombies. I've been in a lot of tournaments due to Black Ops 4 Zombies, events due to Black Ops 4 Zombies, and I probably never thought I'd make it this far in YouTube and my life as a whole if it wasn't for Black Ops 4 Zombies. Black Ops 4 Zombies launched with 4 maps if you had the Black Ops Pass. If you didn't have the Black Ops Pass, you'd have 3 maps, which was still quite good. Void of Despair was definitely okay, spawning in the Titanic. Granted, a lot of people would find the map layout confusing, but the map itself, the aesthetic was cool. The Easter egg was definitely complicated for people and really didn't like it, but the boss fight was a good treat as well. And the ending cutscene wasn't really the best for people either. Whereas in 9, it definitely feels more simple, and the Easter egg makes sense. Along with that, you were facing quite an easy boss fight, but it's one of the coolest boss fights ever, which was a fucking elephant, by the way. And not just 1, but 2! And then, of course, you had Blood of the Dead, which wasn't a remaster, but a remake to the faithful map that a lot of people love, which was Mob of the Dead. Which a lot of people definitely do like, but a lot of people definitely do hate as well. The Easter egg definitely can be annoying solo, but it definitely is fun co-op. And then, of course, the ending cutscene is one of the best ending cutscenes ever with Rick, Toff and Steph, and the storyline is probably, to me, in my opinion, the best storyline map ever in Call of Duty Zombies history. And then, of course, if you had the Black Ops Pass, you had a really, really great remaster, I'd say, in my opinion, which was Classified, which was the remaster to 5. Granted, my only thing I changed is that they didn't make the Easter egg 150, where basically to do the main Easter egg on that map, you have to get to around 150. If they wanted to do a high round Easter egg, make it 115 or something, or make an actual Easter egg where we fight the Pentagon Thief, because he's actually not in Classified, which was definitely very upsetting to see. But the good thing is that the music, the way the map looked, the way it played was so much better, in my opinion, than 5. And then, of course, the Winter Cell buff as well, that was definitely amazing too, so good shit on that trick as well, because the Winter Cell definitely deserved justice. And then with DLC 1 not being marketed well, and a lot of people not liking the map on how it played, especially how it was a prequel to the Void of Despair, it was dead to the night. A lot of people really didn't like the characters as much, and along with that, people really didn't like the Easter egg. Unless you were no Thumbs crew where you're breaking world records left and right on this fucking map. But aside from that though, a lot of people definitely didn't like Dead of the Night, especially how it didn't have many marketing. And of course Black Ops 4 Zombies definitely still had its problems with quite a bit of crashes at that time. Maybe not with Easter eggs, but with high runs the crashes were definitely still there. And then of course DLC 2 was Ancient Evil, which in my opinion is my favourite map of all time in Zombies. The Chaos story was definitely at its peak in Ancient Evil, I'd say. The map is beautiful, it has 4 amazing wonder weapons. Granted the ammo isn't the best, but it's still amazing. The Easter egg is awesome too, and I love how the map has 2 sides to it, where it has a dark side and a light side. And to get to the dark side for the first time, you need to fly Pegasus, which that shit is cool. The wonder weapons as well aren't really too hard to get, so they're actually quite easy. All you need to do is look around the map for a face like this, and then once you break it, you will be able to get a dormant hand, go up to one of the stands for the gauntlets, and there you go, just do a little lockdown and then you get a gauntlet. It's really not that difficult. So Ancient Evil, definitely one of the nicest looking maps, definitely one of the best gameplay maps, and definitely one of the best boss fights and Easter eggs out there. So good shit to Ancient Evil. And then of course they brought back the Aether story with Alpha Omega. Alpha Omega brought back so much hype due to the fact that it was the return of the Aether crew. The crew that actually a lot of people generally did care about, because a lot of people didn't give a shit about the Chaos story. And then of course when it came down to it, it really didn't live up to the hype. I'd say Alpha Omega was quite a 50-50. It brought in cool stuff like the different variants of the Ray Gun Mark II. It definitely made Nuketown Zombies better as it was big and it had the bunker, but it was really all implemented from Blackout. And then of course with this, the reason why is because they had to make the next game, which was Black Ops Core Zombies, and they were in a time crush, so they really had to rely on reused assets, which they've done since World at War, so I really didn't mind and I didn't really care it was a remake. I know how much people wanted a new unique map for the Aether crew that we had, so the Primus and Ultimus, but one of my favourite things that they did in Alpha Omega was the fact that you can play as both Primus and Ultimus in co-op. That shit was one of the best stuff I've ever seen done in Zombies, so honestly, good shit for Alpha Omega. And then along with that, in Tad to Tone, which wasn't a lot of people's favourites. My only problem was that they ended it off with the Victus crew, but I thought the Easter egg was cool. Granted, it didn't have a boss fight, but the way it ended was definitely very cool. The Tundra Gun isn't the best, which is basically just a Frost Blast version of the Thunder Gun, but as a whole, it was definitely cool if you had PhD Slider, especially how it is buffed a bit now. And then of course the Thunder Gun is definitely a lot of fun, especially when you had the flying glitch. Pablo as well, when learning his backstory, is definitely cool too. And then of course you don't have the best Wonder Wolf, but the design for it is definitely one of the best looking wonder weapons ever, I'd say. And then of course, again, my only problem really is the Victus crew, but it really was nice to see them one last time before everyone's sent into the Dark Aether. My only problem is that I wish they'd done that for DLC 3 instead of DLC 4, whereas in DLC 4 I wish we could play as both Primus and Ultimus, but in DLC 3 we play as the Victus crew. No, not the Victus crew. No, yeah, no, I'm right about the Victus. The trans shit crew, you know what I mean, but as a whole, Black Ops 4 Zombies has had its ups and downs, but I've definitely had a lot of fun with it, especially how I met people like Zazu, Revived, Xbox, and many more people. I got into Zombies Community Showdown, and for that I managed to get into Z4C2, Z4C3. Black Ops 4 quite literally changed my life forever, even though it had a lot of gameplay changes that weren't needed, especially with the last iteration, which was really popular, Black Ops 3. As a whole, I really liked Black Ops 4 Zombies for what it is, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I still do till this day, and I'd go back any day to genuinely play Black Ops 4 Zombies, whether that be on Void of Despair, the Dead of the Night, whatever your worst map is. I genuinely go back and play Black Ops 4 Zombies any day. But yeah, that is why Black Ops 4 Zombies is coming at the number 3 spot. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Black Ops Cold War Zombies. Now, a lot of people are genuinely really going to be surprised by this, as Black Ops Cold War Zombies did do really well on YouTube for its release scene, as people were willing to give Call of Duty Zombies as a whole a second try after a lot of people didn't like BO4. A lot of people love Black Ops Cold War Zombies' game mechanics. It is one of the best game mechanics we've ever seen in Zombies as a whole. It brought in some new stuff that we have never seen before. D-Machine was a good starting map, I'd say, as it brought in Nactor and Toten, where basically it's a map that you're familiar with, so you can get used to the game mechanics in the map you're familiar with from a previous game iteration. But also they basically done a transit, where in transit is a new map, but they also plonked Nactor and Toten in there. So I really don't want to consider D-Machine and remake as a whole. All they did was make a new map, as they do mainly focus on the facility in the map, and all they did was place NACT on the top of the map. That's basically it, and I thought it was definitely a very, very good way to start off. The Easter eggs in this game are very easy, I'd say, in my opinion. Granted, they are easy, but as long as they're fun to me, I really don't give a crap. And D-Machine was definitely fun. Firebase wasn't the top tierest map for everyone. Granted, if I had to place Firebase, just counting round base maps in Black Ops Core Zombies, I'd probably place Firebase at the bottom too. But that doesn't mean I hate it. Firebase originally used to be my top 5 favourite maps of all time. I really liked the Mimic step, which is quite hated most of the time. I thought it was cool and unique. When you get to understand it, I really genuinely do like it. The Wonder Weapon 2 is definitely very cool, and talking about the Wonder Weapons in D-Machine, yeah, those are very fucking OP, especially the ray gun. But as in for the Wonder Weapons in Firebase C, which is simply just the ray K, it's definitely a cool Wonder Weapon, but over the time, it's been buffed, it's been nerfed, and nerfed, and then buffed again, and then nerfed, and now it's been buffed again. So it is definitely very depressing to see such a good Wonder Weapon that had so much potential to be just nerfed and buffed, and nerfed and buffed, and nerfed and buffed. Like, holy shit, the Reiki has been through a lot. And then of course after that we got DLC 2, which was Outbreak. Outbreak definitely wasn't a lot of people's favourite, but it's definitely a cool idea for a game mode. And as a whole, when it came to the first Easter egg was definitely cool. It was definitely quite a difficult boss fight at first if it's your first time doing it, but the more you do it, the more easier you do find it. And of course you're on a time limit to do this boss fight. If you don't do this boss fight on time, you are literally completely fucked. You only have 8 minutes to do the boss, but as of now you actually have 9 minutes to do it now. So at least Trek actually was willing to put the timer up, so thank you Trevor for that, thank you. And then of course Outbreak 2 was simply a prologue Easter egg to Marudatone, where hey, this is literally what happened just before Marudatone, where Requiem is kidnapped by Omega and we need to work with them. If we don't, one of our people die, which is Raptor 1, who basically is the guy who exfils us 24/7. And the exfilling system in this game is amazing, and because it basically grants you more XP instead of just up and quitting the game or just everyone dying. So exfilling, I'm glad they add that in, because it's a new way to end the game with gaining a lot of extra rewards for it. And then of course with one of the best maps ever in Call of Duty Zombies history, and probably the best map in Core Zombies for a lot of people in Core Zombies, it is Marudatone. Now Marudatone is definitely a really nice looking map. Starts you off where it's all dark, and then when you turn on the power, all the street lights go on, and it just makes you feel like you're in Las Vegas or something. Well, actually you're in Berlin, but for me I call it Las Vegas vibe. Don't ask me why, I just did. But as a whole, I definitely found it really cool. The Wonder Weapons are really nice as well. The Wonder Weapon is the Cerberus, and when you basically kill zombies with it, it drops different variants of it. You have a Ghostbusters Proton Pack, you have a hexagonal shotgun, and then you have 3 balls that shoot out of it, kind of like the light gauntlet from Ancient Evil. So honestly, as a whole, Marudatone is definitely very fun. And the last map for Black Ops Cold War Zombies was Forsaken, which is personally my favourite zombies map in Cold War Zombies. It definitely was a good way to send off. Granted, the Forsaken boss was quite easy, but he's definitely very fucking cool and fun to fight. Now, as a whole, Forsaken I say was a good send off, and it definitely has one of the best ending cutscenes in Zombies as a whole, I'd say. The music was perfect, along with learning the director was confirmed Eddie. Like, that shit is awesome. And of course we did get a confirmation that the Dark Ether story is continuing, and of course it's continuing in Vanguard as a prequel. So yeah, as a whole, I definitely do love Marudatone and Core Zombies as a whole. It has great wonder weapons, great gameplay mechanics. The Easter eggs are definitely fun. Granted, in my opinion personally, they are quite easy, but as long as they're fun, I could give less of a shit whether they're easy or difficult. So yeah, honestly, Core Zombies I love. I've had my fun on it, and it's definitely my second favourite Zombies game. I could understand why a lot of people don't like it because it's too easy, and I can understand why people just wouldn't be interested in it, as people are just really bored of zombies or just for another reason. But as a whole, Core Zombies, as it's went on, I've enjoyed my time on it. And granted, at the launch of Core Zombies, I never really played it for 4 weeks, but as a whole, I just... holy fuck, I regret the fact that I never played a lot of Core Zombies at launch. But hey ho, base guys, that is why Cold War Zombies is coming at the number 2 spot. Coming in at the number 1 spot, I think it's quite obvious to everyone if you've been counting up so far, but it's Black Ops 3. Now, Black Ops 3 definitely had a lot of stuff in it. It had fucking Shadows of Evil, it had Horizon Drag, Gore Cove, Revelations, Zetsubo no Shima, DLC fucking 5. The only thing I wish Black Ops 3 had was a couple of side game modes turned in Grief. Now, whereas in Black Ops 3, you actually have custom mod tools as well. Granted, I can't do customs yet, but I promise when I can, I will do them. But as a whole, Black Ops 3 has a lot to offer, and you can basically play how many maps you want if you do have customs. You can play Leviathan, you can play many other good maps. But aside from that though, it's definitely very cool with what they did on Black Ops 3. Shadows of Evil started off not the best launch, but a lot of people quite did like it. But I was surprised to see a lot of people definitely did hate it. And then of course you got a faithful remaster, which was Darius on the Giant. And then after that you got a banging DLC one, which was their Eisendraht. Zetsubo no Shima wasn't the top tier best, but definitely had the story in there, along with just learning how Takeo has lived his life as a lie basically. And then of course you had Gore Cove, which had one of the best boss fights ever, and the PPSH. Definitely amazing on there. And then of course Revelations, granted a lot of people didn't like it, but I've had my fun on Revelations, and I definitely do think it's one of the nicest looking maps ever. And can I say the Pack-a-Punch camo on that map as well? And then of course DLC 5, which brought back 8 remastered maps: Nat, Farut, Shinonuma, Kino, Ascension, Shangri-La, Moon, and then of course Origins, which was definitely a lot of fun and probably the biggest hype moment in the zombies community ever. So honestly, I think we're forever adept in Black Ops 3. Not just specifically because of DLC 5, but because of what they did throughout it. Shadows of Evil, Horizon Drag, Gore Cove, Zetsubo, and Revelations. So honestly, thank you Black Ops 3. But apart from that, I have no words apart from to say that is why Black Ops 3 Zombies is in the number 1 spot. Base guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, please subscribe, leave a like, click the notification bell, always to the channel. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, and let me know in the comment section down below what your guys' favourite Call of Duty Zombies game and what's your least favourite Call of Duty Zombies game in the comment section down below, and let me know why. Or do you have the same list as me? Who knows? Base guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video live stream, boys. And goodbye!